Hello, everyone, and welcome to Elastic Security and Generative AI, Revolutionizing Security Analysis Workflows. Today's webinar is sponsored by Elastic and produced by Actual Tech Media. My name is Keith Ward. I'm with Actual Tech Media, and I am thrilled to be your moderator for this special event. But before we get to the presentation, I do need to cover a few housekeeping items that'll help you here today. First, we encourage your questions in the questions box in your webinar control panel. And at the end of the presentation, we will do some Q&A with our expert presenter today. So keep those questions coming throughout the event today. Now, that Q&A panel is also the place to let us know if you have any technical issues. So if you can't see something, you can't hear something, what you want to do first is a browser refresh. That should take care of it. If it does not work, well, try it again. And if you're still having problems, let us know and we will hop on and see if we can provide further technical assistance to you. Next, check out the handouts section of your webinar control panel, which is right next to the questions tab there to the left. You'll find some amazing resources there, including a link to explore some Elastic workshops, technical competitions, and more. Take a look at that now if you can. There's also a link in the handout section to the Gorilla Guide Book Club, which houses our vast library of free technology books. You'll also find a link to the Actual Tech Media Events Center, which has our calendar of upcoming events, including some really juicy ones. I encourage you to look at those and sign up if you see something that looks good to you. Okay, third, at the end of today's session, we will be giving away a $250 Amazon gift card to one of you. Of course, you have to be in attendance during the entire live event to qualify for the prize. The official terms and conditions of that prize drawing can be found in the handouts section if you like really dry reading. All right. So as I mentioned before, we're going to have Q&A at the end of this today. And that is really one of the big advantages of any Actual Tech Media event is the opportunity to grill our presenters. To encourage those questions too today, we have an extra opportunity to win. That's another Amazon gift card for $50 for the best question. After the event is over, we're going to look at all the questions that come in. We're going to pick out the very best one, and then we're going to contact that prize winner to get them their card. So with that out of the way, let's get to today's fantastic content. It is my pleasure to introduce you to our presenter today, Matteo Rebuscini, Senior Principal Solutions Architect with Elastic. Matteo is ready to go. So Matteo, I am going to hand the mic over to you. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Keith. I'm so happy to be here to talk about Elastic Security and Generative AI with you all today. As Keith said, my name is Matteo. I'm a security specialist at Elastic. I joined Elastic almost 6 years ago, so I witnessed a lot of innovation and growth within the security space, as I will be sharing with you all today. So let's get started. So before I dive into the content, I would like to share with this page with you. So if you're interested in learning more about Elastic, we have ongoing virtual events that we do regularly. There is a Capture the Flag that is scheduled today, so you're not going to be able to do that, but I just wanted to mention that as we do those regularly, it's a very great workshop to learn about Elastic Security in the role of a security analyst, using the solution to do a real-life type of investigations. And as you can see, we also have several generative AI workshops. Many of these are generic, like the one on November 7th that you see here on the screen is really designed to teach about generative AI in a general way. So more designed around, the basics of large LLMs, but it's really, really interesting content, as I assume many of you joined today's webinar because you're interested in generative AI as a whole. So a little bit of history for those of you that may not be familiar with Elastic, or maybe you have used ELK in the past. There has been a lot of growth within Elastic for our security solution that we refer to as Elastic Security. So it all started back into around 2019, 2020. That's when we decided as a company to invest in the security solution, starting with SIEM as the primary use case, security information event management. We then joined forces with an endpoint security company called Endgame that allowed us to onboard a lot of talent, really to speed up our innovation within security. That has led to the release of XDR. So not only we have SIEM capabilities in Elastic Security, but we also have endpoint security within the same platform, and also endpoint security, cloud security for cloud native and Kubernetes, thanks to a couple of acquisitions that we made in 2022. So a lot of innovation that has led to a release of many features that you'll learn about today. All of these innovations really have led to Elastic to be recognized as a leader in the Forrester Wave for security analytics platforms in 2022. And as you can see from this diagram, Elastic has been acknowledged as the vendor in the space with the strongest strategy. And I believe in big part that's because of our one platform and clear vision of providing the same solution to both gain visibility across the entire attack surface, but also to add prevention and protection at the edge, whether you're looking at traditional endpoints or more recently cloud security as well. So what is Elastic Security today? So for those of you that have used Elastic in the past, Elastic Security is not a different solution, it's not a different user interface or a different plugin. We're still talking about Kibana, the user interface of Elastic. And we added within Kibana specific functionality that was designed thinking about security analysts, security engineers, what the challenges they're facing every day, and how we can make their life easier thanks to technology. So again, the same platform. We have spent a lot of time focusing on data ingest. As you all know, when you have worked with a SIEM in the past, as I assume most of you have, there is a lot of work and time that is spent to onboard data into the SIEM to gain visibility across your attack surface. So we developed a common schema that we now contributed to OpenTelemetry. So we're working together with OTel on the development of the schema going forward. And we have also developed many data integrations that allow to bring your data in easily and quickly. In addition of bringing your data in, we also allow to have native protection on the edge. So whenever you deploy Elastic Agent, that's Elastic single centrally managed installer that allows to ingest data, you can turn that same agent into an endpoint sensor, allowing you to gain visibility at the kernel level within Windows, Linux, and Mac, but also to add the same level of visibility and protection on containers, cloud native, and so on. On the top side of this diagram, you see several capabilities that I'll show you later today, starting with dashboarding and reporting. That's what has made Kibana really popular since the very beginning, when it started being used as part of the ELK stack, part of threat detection capabilities, advanced entity analytics to assign a risk score to different entities like host and user entities, and also automation and remediation capabilities. All of these is also can be integrated with third-party systems like ticketing systems and SOAR platforms, LLM, and so on, through different connectors that we support, and you can also create your own. All right, let's dive into the solution. I mentioned earlier that really the first area of focus when we designed Elastic Security is to allow our customers and users to gain visibility quickly. So we have developed and we are now maintaining hundreds of data integrations that allow to ingest data from commonly used log source types and normalize that data using Elastic Common Schema. That's the common schema that allows you to do correlation across different logs generated by different log source types. In addition of supporting all the popular log sources, including many of the log sources that are becoming more commonly used these days, I'm talking about cloud, native, and SaaS type of log sources, Elastic allows you to ingest any type of data. So we made it really easy to create ingest pipelines inside Elasticsearch to normalize custom logs, think about your custom applications, for example, into Elastic Common Schema. Once data is ingested into Elastic, you have the capability of controlling the life cycle of data for each log source. So it's not a policy for the deployment, but you can have different policies for different types of data, like compliance data, for example, that you may want to keep for longer, using different data tiers. And one data tier that we have released a few years ago now that makes really economical to keep all your data actionable for security use cases is what we called frozen. Despite the name frozen, that reminds to many AWS Glacier, nothing to do with AWS Glacier. This is a data tier where the data is totally decoupled from compute. Data is only stored in object stores like S3 if you're using AWS, or equivalent object stores for other cloud providers or on-prem. And you can search that data directly as an analyst without the need of rehydrating the data first, having tens of seconds to minutes performance. So really, really fast performance for your historical data that, again, you can decouple from your compute, allowing you to keep all your data for as long as you want without breaking the budget. This is a screenshot of the interface that Elastic provides to manage these life cycles. We call it index lifecycle policies and index lifecycle management. And again, for different types of data, you can choose how quickly you want to move it to a cold phase, where you use higher data density, cheaper hardware, because most of the data is queried in the hot phase, where we typically recommend 3 to 5 days to have that millisecond performance. And then cold phase, most of the deployments that we architect these days, they have 30 to 90 days in the cold phase to give an idea of what other companies are doing. And then data is moved to that frozen phase. We also support the S3 API in general. So there are many storage appliances, if you're looking at on-prem deployments, that will allow you to use the frozen tier on-prem. So there is no requirement to use cloud. You can also leverage the benefits of the frozen phase and searchable snapshots if you deploy on-prem. Elastic, from an architecture point of view, provides a lot of flexibility when it comes to leveraging federated search to keep data local, close to where the data is generated. So we work with many global companies that have customers in different areas. They have compliance requirements for data locality, where they have to keep the data local. They cannot move the data out of region, where this feature is very, very convenient to use, right? And also we have many customers that are starting to look at multi-cloud strategies, where they want to store data in multiple clouds. They use multiple cloud providers like AWS, GCP, and Azure. And they want to keep the data close to where the data is generated, where the logs are generated. You don't want to pay for those data transfer costs to move all your logs out of a cloud provider unnecessarily. Elastic's federated search, that we call cross-cluster search, or CCS, allows you to just do that. So what we have discussed so far is how to ingest data into Elastic. I talked about the data integration, index lifecycle management to manage the lifecycle of the data. Once you gain that visibility across your attack surface, ingesting all these logs from different log source types, you want to allow the machine to do the work, meaning you want to leverage automation as much as possible to detect any indicators of compromise or any activity that is suspicious in nature within your environments or the environments that you're monitoring. So Elastic Security includes a detection engine with several detection rule types. That's what you see here on the screen, that allow you to write detection rules without writing code. So simply you have to create a query, and that query will be scheduled to be part of a detection rule that runs on a regular intervals, generating alerts every time there is a match. We also provide hundreds of out-of-the-box detection rules mapped to MITRE ATT&CK. Elastic Security has formalized a team of threat researchers called the Elastic Security Labs that, in addition of releasing industry reports about what we see out there when it comes to emerging threats and things like that, They are tasked with constantly providing, developing, and updating content for Elastic Security. And that content is released in big part as detection rules. We provide this content using a web service, so there is no need to upgrade to a newer version of Elastic Security to get the latest content. As soon as we release it, it becomes available to security engineers to enable or customize as needed. And that's particularly important for emerging threats. Lastly, we combine traditional detection rules that are very useful for the known bad, right? So the known activities that we know bad actors commonly use with machine learning that is baked inside Elasticsearch. So no data duplication, no need to stand up additional infrastructure to take advantage of these. Any data that you store in that you indexed inside Elasticsearch can be used to train a machine learning job, and that machine learning job can be used to raise any type of anomalies. So this is particularly useful for those user and entity behavior analytics type of use cases when you're not looking for a specific type of event, but you're looking for entities like users or machines or containers that start behaving differently than what was seen in the past. All the output of detection rules and machine learning jobs, and also endpoint type of events, like you see here in this screenshot, malware detection alerts, for example, detected by Elastic Endpoint Security that we call Elastic Defend, are all displayed using the same view to the analyst. So you don't have to change the way you do your work as an analyst depending on the type of event that you're looking at. Everything is bubbled up using the same alerts list. And you can see here on this list, there is a risk score that is often used by many organizations to prioritize the workloads of security analysts. We know that security analysts are typically short-staffed, very busy in their daily job. So it's very important to allow them to prioritize their workload every day based on what's most important for your organization. And truly, if you think about why we're doing what we're doing, you're attending this webinar, you're here because we want to minimize or manage the risk, trying to minimize it as much as possible for your organization. So Elastic Security, to help analysts prioritize their workloads, includes hosting user entity analytics. This capability is fully automated, allows to assign a host risk score and a user risk score dynamically to your host and user entities. This information is then used to prioritize the risk score, to influence and prioritize the risk scores that you see in those detection alerts that are bubbled up to the security analysts. I'll show you more about this later in the demo. Elastic Security also includes out-of-the-box dashboards that within the security app. And many of these, in a way, they're kind of like little applications. So there is more than just visualizing data. For example, the data quality dashboard allows you to make sure that you're ingesting data normalized to Elastic Common Schema. And it will let you know whether there are any findings or anything that you should know to comply with Elastic Common Schema to be able to do those correlations across different log source types. You see here, we also have dashboards that are specific to some of the cloud security capabilities, like the cloud security posture that is used for the CSPM, for example, and vulnerability management as well. As always, you can create your own dashboards, you can create your own reports, and really Elastic has been known since the inception really as a very flexible tool to be able to visualize and gain insights from your data in a way that makes sense to you, so that we make it really easy to create custom visualizations and dashboards. There is a feature called Kibana Lens that is kind of like a wizard to create visualizations through drag and drop that makes it really fast and easy, and most importantly, intuitive for anyone to build visualizations. You don't need to engage with professional services to do anything like that. And Lastly, and this is a pivot to the generative AI discussion, we have been working a lot on the analyst experience, trying to think about how can we make it as easy as possible for security analysts to do investigations, even for those security analysts that are very junior in their role. Maybe they have never used Elastic Security before, maybe they have never used a SIEM before. How can we empower them to become productive very quickly? As part of this effort, as part of Elastic Security, we built an interface that you're seeing in this animation called Elastic Timeline that allows just to do that. So a security analyst can build an investigation, in this case, starting from a detection alert. Events are displayed in a way that make it very clear the action they are describing, without requiring the analyst to have to go through all the different fields on alert to understand what happened. And also, as you can see here, analysts can build an investigation through drag and drop. There is no need to learn a query language to become proficient in starting to use Elastic Security for investigations. That said, we know there are many security analysts out there that like to use a command line type of language with pipes to do their investigations. That has led to the creation and the imminent release of a new query language that we call Elasticsearch Query Language, or ESQL. You can see an example here of ESQL. ESQL allows you to build queries using pipes to basically keep refining the output, what you're looking to get as the answer to your question, right? Well, because the query is basically getting insights from your data. So here you can see different pipes that allow you to start with a broad data set, in this case, Windows event logs, and keep narrowing down, and not only tune the search results, do enrichments. You cannot see it on this example, but that's another part of it. You can do lookups, like type of enrichment on the search results, and aggregations as well, resulting either in a table view that is automatically created based on the fields that you include in the query, or in a visualization. So again, this will look very familiar for those of you that have past experience with Splunk SPL or Microsoft Custom. If you want to learn more about the syntax, I included here a link to a blog post. From the blog post, there is a link to the documentation. So if you want to start learning about ESQL now, you can do that. ESQL is scheduled to be released with the next minor release of Elastic. I cannot tell you an exact date because that may float, but let's say within a couple of weeks or within a month at the latest, you will have this functionality available to you all. So let's get now to the main topic of this webinar, which is the generative AI. So I bet most of you must have used ChatGPT, and you're probably blown away at the very beginning, right? As I know I was, and I know most people that I know that started using it. The first reaction is like either excitement or being scared of the power of the technology coming out so quickly and kind of in an unexpected way. But also for many organizations, and most organizations we work with, they start to think about how can we start leveraging generative AI to our advantage, right? So in this context, what we're going to talk about is how to leverage generative AI within Elastic Security to help security analysts as part of their investigation workflows. There is a lot more that can be done with Elastic in the context of generative AI. For example, we have invested a lot in vector search that allows for a semantic-based search that is very, very useful to bring your private data and merge that with an LLM. Not necessarily merging it with the LLM itself. You're not sharing all your data with an LLM, but leverage an LLM using your private data to get the most relevant results for questions that are asked using a natural language. So there is more about that. You can check our website about it. But the focus today is really about the application of generative AI in the context of security and elastic security itself. So what is generative AI, right? So we know that generative AI is in a way revolutionizing search, allowing for interaction using natural language. And a tip I got when I first learned about ChatGPT from one of my colleagues was, when you use ChatGPT, think about asking a question to one of your, like an assistant. You have an assistant that is an expert in any domain, and you get the best output, the best answer to your question based on how much context, how good do you phrase that question, how much context that is relevant to you do you add to the question to get the best answer. So generative AI is the limitation of generative AI today, based on the LLMs that are publicly available, is the fact that they're limited by public training data. And also in the case of ChatGPT, the training ends at, I think, September 2021. So in a way, it's great if you're asking for generic questions that you know on technology, for example, that you know were available before September 2021. Not so much if you try to get some real-time type of information, right? The LLMs don't have access to that. But as we're going to see in a minute, we can help LLMs to provide a good answer that is informational and useful by providing the right context when we ask the question. So here is an example of that, right? So in the case of Elastic Security, think about asking a question about a specific type of alerts, right? So if you ask that question directly to ChatGPT, you may get or another LLM, you may get a generic answer. By the way, one of the greatest benefits of the open approach that Elastic has to technology and security in general is that we have not only our source code is open, but also we have invested a lot in open and free and accessible content in the form of documentation. Through our website, through our blog, discuss.elastic.co, there is a lot of information out there that has been made public by Elastic. And this is particularly important when you're trying to use an LLM, right? Because LLMs only have access as part of their training to information that is publicly available, right? So what can we do to get a better response from an LLM? So in addition of providing that question directly to the LLM, we can pass a little bit of context that is specific to you and your organization. In this case, maybe specific to a detection alert that you're looking at within Elastic Security. So in this case, and this field, by the way, is called prompt engineering. So now there are specific roles that have prompt engineering as part of the title that in part involve, how can I phrase a question to get the best answer from an LLM like ChatGPT. But a big part of that is like, what context do I need to provide in order to get some helpful answers from ChatGPT? So here are some of the use cases that are already available, and I have a short demo that I'll show you in a minute, just to give you an idea of how this works. And the idea, again, is to interface Elastic Security with an LLM. You will need to bring your own subscription, right? We don't provide an LLM as Elastic, but you can use one of the publicly available LLMs that are available with a subscription, like, for example, Azure OpenAI. Provide some context to the LLM and do that securely. More about that in a couple of minutes. And get relevant answers back to help the analysts in your work as part of their workflows. So what we have built and already released and already GA as part of Elastic Security is what we call the Elastic AI Assistant, that allows any security analyst really to use this chatbot to get some guidance during their investigations, and that allows to dramatically accelerate the mean time to respond, to get help with hunting queries, maybe translating a query from a query language to another, and also to gain insights about specific threats. So here's an example about this. You can see here on this animation the user interface of the Elastic Security Assistant that allows to ask questions. And by the way, we have some prompts that you can see at the bottom that are already prepared, and also to pass some context, like in the case to pass alert information when you ask a question. You can also use Elastic AI Assistant to get some guidance when building a query. You can ask and again, this is particularly important in the case of Elastic. We made a lot of documentation. All our documentation is public. Nothing is kept a secret really within Elastic in regards to what we do and how to use our technology. So you can use the AI assistant to build queries using natural language, or maybe to convert queries from one query language to another. And I know many of you likely are thinking about security and privacy, as whenever you're sharing data with an LLM, you don't want to share any data that is private, that should be protected due to compliance or security in general, with an external entity that could use that data and bake it as part of the model or the next generation of the model that they are developing. So first, Elastic allows to securely, through these connectors, interface with different LLMs that you can choose to use. And whenever you're sharing any information that is private to you, like in this case, we're looking at a detection alert, right? That may include IP addresses or usernames or any other type of data that you don't necessarily want to share externally, and you shouldn't share it externally. We allow to transparently anonymize those data elements. So the LLM will get a question with the context. The IP addresses will be anonymized. The usernames will be anonymized. When the LLM replies back with the answer, Elastic Security and the AI assistant will replace those values back to the original values. So everything will be transparent to the analyst that is using the LLM. And one last note before the demo, monitoring usage, right? So the LLMs that are publicly available today, you need a subscription, and there is a cost, right? You pay based on the number of tokens you used. And you can think of that based on how many questions you asked, how much context, how much text you passed on each question, and how frequently you do that. So we allow to not only interface with an LLM through Elastic Security natively, but also to keep track of your usage, so you can make sure to not have any surprises when it comes to unexpected costs for your organization. All right, let's now pivot to a quick demo so I can show you how this looks like. Here we go. All right, so this is the user interface of Elastic. So this is what we call Kibana. And this is an example of a dashboard. In this case, is a specific dashboard looking at detection alerts, right? When you have many rules enabled, you may want to make sure that, when you check to make sure that, are they performing correctly? Are there any detection rules that are using too many resources? Maybe there is a malformed query that I can tune a little bit. And this level of capability is what has made Elastic very, very popular, particularly when you talk about the ELK stack, the use of Elasticsearch with Kibana, the user interface, since the inception of Elastic. These capabilities are still available. You can see them on the top part here under what we call analytics. And you have the capability basically to ingest any type of data, a lot of flexibility when it comes to architecture, deployment models. You can deploy on-prem, you can use Kubernetes, you can use Elastic Cloud, our SaaS, so it's fully managed. Ingest that data, apply any type of visualizations and logic on the top of that data to gain insights. And that also includes applying machine learning to it, so you can get anomalies and things like that from your data. So talking about Elastic Security, you can see here we have two different applications that relate to the most common use cases of the Elasticsearch platform, in addition to search. Like that's the original use case, that is really primarily related to application search or enterprise search whenever you're searching your corporate documents. Observability refers to the use of Elastic to monitor and observe your infrastructure, your applications. This includes, for example, application performance monitoring, synthetics, user experience, universal profiling to find any bottlenecks or things like that. And it's really used a lot by many organizations really to monitor any of their critical or revenue generating platforms or components they use. And then we have Elastic Security. So Elastic Security, this is a series of different applications, starting with custom dashboards that I described earlier, specific to the security use case, that are related to the use of Elastic to gain visibility over your attack surface and also to add protection, right? We have many customers that use Elastic for both observability and security. As if you start looking at the type of data that you need to answer those observability questions by SREs or to answer security questions by security analysts, in many cases, there is a lot of overlap, right? You're looking at the same log sources. What changes really is the type of questions, the type of queries that you ask data. So within Elastic Security, we have different, again, dashboards, visualizations. I'm just going to show you a couple here. Like to gain insights about, detection alerts, different detections by, different severity, cloud security posture. We have a CSPM, cloud security posture management, and Kubernetes security posture management that are part of Elastic Security as well. These allow you to gain insights from the configurations of your deployments, whether you're looking at Kubernetes or cloud native. CSPM produces findings based on CIS benchmarks. That's what we support currently, providing guidance on how to remediate them. So basically, this is some insights on any changes that you can make just by changing the configuration of what you're running in production specifically. That will allow you to easily improve your security posture within your organization. So this is CSPM. It's part of our cloud security capabilities. We recently released also cloud native vulnerability management. So you can see here different CVEs that are detected. And then entity analytics. I touched on this earlier. Sorry, this is related to the capability to automatically assign a risk score to different host and user entities that is then used to influence the risk score of detection alerts, right, that are generated. So in here you see a risk score. Security analysts can use this and should be using the risk score to prioritize their workloads. So touched on this earlier briefly. So there are hundreds of detection rules, 856 in this version that I'm using. You can have custom rules as well that you can enable within an environment. For many of these, we have enrichment, MITRE ATT&CK enrichment, investigation guide as well. So this is all part of the content that comes with the platform. So there is nothing custom here. This is the content you get out of the box. So for many of the integrations that we release, we also have detection rules, like in this case for Google Workspace, that are mapped to those that you can simply enable and start gaining value out of the box. So talking about the analyst experience, and this is what I was mentioning earlier now, what we did to speed up the investigation workflows for analysts. So all the detection alerts or machine learning anomalies or endpoint type of events that are bubbled up to the same view. As an analyst, you can expand on a specific alert. You can get information about what happened Again, you can see again the MITRE attack information. And this is useful also for the analysts to gain insights about why would an adversary do it? What should I look for next? And this is where chat, the generative AI, the Elastic AI assistant sits. So I ran this earlier in interest of time. And here you can see you have the capability, first of all, to add different connections, right? So in this case, we support currently both OpenAI directly and Azure OpenAI service. You can add your connectors, you can add your API keys that will really connect Elastic AI Assistant to your subscription that you have with an LLM. We built a few prompts. You can also create your own prompts. So this is a big part of gaining value from an LLM, is to ask questions using the right terminology, right? So you can get an output in a specific format that makes sense for you. So we have quick prompts that you can add. You can customize some of the system prompts to get the output in a specific format. And lastly, we have this capability of anonymizing specific fields. So here you can see this is a list of fields that may be part of a document, may be part of an alert that you may want to pass to an LLM to provide relevant context that is unique to you. And here you can see, you can specify what fields you want to anonymize by default. And again, whenever you do this, the specific value of these fields is replaced by a randomized string or a randomized IP address that is then replaced back when the LLM responds with a query. So in this example, this is the context itself. Again, you can choose when you ask a question, do I want to add the alert to the question itself? Do I want to customize when I ask the question what I want to anonymize, overriding some of the defaults? And then you get the output. Like in this case, we had a question evaluating the event from the context above, that this was an alert, add description, recommended actions, and bulleted triage steps. Used MITRE attack, blah, 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 more details, right? And then you get the response back. And you can see it's very, very compelling what you can get when it comes to triaging step, specifically designed for Elastic Security as a solution. In this case, one of the recommendations is to go and use the OS query manager to run the specific OS query on the specific container where Elastic Agent has access to. And again, you have different prompts here at the bottom that you can run. Again, for each of these, you can choose to pass context based on the specific screen on Elastic Security, on the specific alert or the specific event you're looking at. Again, this is generally available. At the time of this recording, we are 8.10. It became generally available in 8.9, so it has been out for a while. And not only Elastic AI Assistant is available for the security solution, but is also available in other areas of the solution. Like, so if you're using Elastic for observability, you have the AI Assistant available for observability and providing a lot of guidance and value for SREs as part of their workflows as well. Again, a quick overview that I wanted to give you of the platform for those of you that may not be familiar with it, and Elastic Security AI Assistant as well. All right, let me pivot back to the slides so we can. So again, quick reminder about the upcoming events in case you didn't grab this URL earlier. This page is constantly updated with any upcoming events. Okay, so some of my team members have answered some of your questions that you submitted live during the webinar, but now I see there are some questions that were not answered, so we're gonna address those. Back to you, Kees.
All right. Thanks so much, Matteo. What a great presentation. I love the demo. In-depth demos are the best. Let's just see how the product really, really works. So great stuff. Now, you ready for some questions?
Yes, I am.
Outstanding. We've got some really good ones coming in today. So let's dive right in. Okay. So, first one, how does Elastic Endpoint Security work? And as a follow up to that, this is a two-parter. How is it licensed?
So Elastic Endpoint Security is part of Elastic Agent. So we have built a single installer, centrally managed, that is meant to replace many of the bits that you may have used in the past. One of the data integrations that you can enable for Elastic Agent is called Elastic Defend, that will turn the endpoint where Elastic Agent is installed on into an endpoint security sensor, basically. You have the capability of gaining visibility at the kernel level. We use eBPF for Linux, for example. And while you have visibility at the kernel level, you can also enable automated prevention. Like, for example, whenever there is any type of malware activity or ransomware activity or memory threats, those processes can be automatically terminated at the endpoint level. When it comes to this part, the licensing part, so first of all, Elastic Security in general is not a separate product. It's not a plugin. There is no different licensing that you need to use Elastic Security. And Elastic Endpoint Security is part of it. So we have a license. Licensing is based on resource-based pricing. Basic depends on the deployment model, but roughly based on the amount of resources, the type of resources that you use to power your Elastic deployment. There is no a la carte pricing for endpoint security, so we don't charge per endpoint or anything like that. It's just all inclusive in a way.
Good to know. Good to know. Okay, Lewis had a question. How does Elastic Security detect and respond to threats?
Okay, so we touched briefly on this earlier. So there are three different layers in a way of detection and prevention and response opportunities within Elastic Security. The very first defense is really at the endpoint level. Whether you're looking at traditional endpoints using Windows, Linux, or Mac, or whether you're looking at containers or cloud native type applications. Elastic Agent allows to add that detection and prevention directly at the edge. So whenever you enable endpoint security, for example, Elastic Defend, any activity that is dynamic in nature, like a file creation or a registry key creation or things like that, whenever it's detected as malicious, it's automatically terminated and prevented directly at the edge. Similar capabilities applies to containers. So it's not just traditional endpoints, but also containers and cloud native workloads. A second layer of detection with response capabilities are within Elastic Security itself. So anytime you have, not only endpoint data, but any type of log data that is streaming into Elastic can be used, first of all, to get potential detection rules to trigger whenever there is any activity that is known, according to MITRE ATT&CK, for example, as activity that adversaries commonly use as part of their attacks. Whenever a detection rules trigger, you have an alert that is generated. You can have simple actions like notifications, like a Slack message or PagerDuty, or you can also have some automated response that can be a webhook, or it can be a specific action that you want to run on the endpoint if you have Elastic Agent installed, or for example, an OS query that can be used to automatically gather additional information from the endpoint that can be readily available to the analyst when the analyst gets to work on that specific alert. And lastly, a third layer of detection is through machine learning, right? So there are cases where you may have compromised accounts or malicious insiders, where traditional detection rules, they don't really work, right? Because you have an authenticated user that has access to the systems already. So in those cases, you want to really think about those user and entity behavior analytics type of use cases where you want to detect any anomalous behaviors. Great question, by the way.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, and certainly a comprehensive security solution. Thanks. I think we have time for just a couple more here. So you mentioned earlier CSPM capabilities, and what other cloud security capabilities does Elastic Security offer?
Great question there. So we have been so we started by adding endpoint security capabilities for traditional endpoints, and in the last couple of years we have been investing also in cloud security capabilities. And when it comes to cloud security, our vision first of all is to be able to provide the same level of visibility and protection across the entire attack surface, and that's regardless the type of what you use on the edge, right? Whether you're looking at traditional endpoints, whether you're using Kubernetes, whether you're using cloud native. So we have added capabilities at different layers. So the first one is really related to making sure that your configuration for your production workloads, anything that you host in the cloud or anything that you run in Kubernetes, are complying with the best practices from a security point of view. So that's where CSPM come into play. That stands for Cloud Security Posture Management. And we also do the same for Kubernetes with Kubernetes Security Posture Management. So the idea there is to be able to periodically check the configurations that you have using in production for anything that you expose to the internet. So it cannot even be for dev or test workloads, and make sure that they comply with best practices for based on CIS benchmarks. In addition to CSPM, KSPM capabilities, we also have vulnerability management, cloud native vulnerability management that is available, and cloud workload protection. Cloud workload protection is based on the use of eBPF to gain visibility over those workloads that you deploy in the cloud, running within containers, for example. Adding similar capabilities from a visibility and protection point of view that you would have on a traditional endpoint with endpoint security enabled.
Okay, now here's one from someone who might be a current customer. I'm not sure, but they ask, I'm thrilled by the upcoming release of ESQL, which you mentioned earlier. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Yes, of course. So there, ESQL is not only a new query language, but it's a brand new query engine that we added to Elasticsearch, and it's pending immediate release. So you should expect it to be available within the next couple of weeks or so. So ESQL stands for Elasticsearch Query Language, and it provides the capability of interacting with the data during investigations using pipes, basically doing transformations on your search results. You start with a data set, you ask the query, then you get the search results. You can do some enrichments, you can do some aggregations, basically narrowing down the specific data set, that the specific answer that you're looking to get from the data. There is a lot of many people that are currently using Elastic that have been asking for similar capabilities, especially for those security analysts that have past experience with maybe Splunk SPL or Microsoft Custo, and they got used to doing investigations using that piped type of query languages or processing languages as part of their workflow. So it will look very familiar for any of current analysts that will start using the platform that have any experience with those query languages.
Mm-hmm. We are looking forward to that release for sure. Which you say is coming up immediately, so everyone keep an eye out for that. Okay, finally today, Matteo, you've excited a lot of people here. I think you've generated a lot of interest. So for someone who has had their interest piqued here, what do you recommend they do to get started? What should their next step be?
Okay, so there is a so we've always been open with with the way we treat software and technology. We are open to integrating with third-party products, even if they may be competing with Elastic in different areas, and also with how we talk about our software, providing documentation, having an open forum to get feedback from our customers on GitHub and things like that. So there is really a lot of content that you have access to that in some cases can be seen as negative because there is so much. It's like, where can I start from? So if you are, first of all, from a deployment perspective, you can certainly download, Elasticsearch, Kibana, the user interface. You can run it on your laptop. Super easy to set up. But also, what I recommend to do is to start with Elastic Cloud. That's our SaaS. You can start a free trial. There is no need to enter any credit cards or things like that. And you have a deployment that is up and running. But the big question is once I have a deployment, what do I do, right? So I shared earlier a link to different workshops that are coming up, and the one that I recommend keeping an eye on is the Capture the Flag workshop. It's an interesting workshop using gamification where you will be in the shoes of a security analyst that is using Elastic Security with real life type of data, real life type of investigations and attacks that happened in the past, doing investigations. So during this workshop, you would have a very short enablement at the very beginning, like 30 minutes or so, and then you will be given the keys to an Elastic deployment with data already loaded that you can start using to do investigation. So it's a great venue to learn how to use Elastic as an analyst. When it comes to setting it up, again, where there are many blog posts, there are many other webinars that you can find on our website, elastic.co, that you can use to get started. But ultimately, we're here to help you, right? So if you have a need where you see Elastic as a match, whether you're looking as a new SIEM, whether you're looking at consolidating vendors, right? Elastic can do SIEM, can do endpoint security, we can do cloud security, can do observability, APM, and so on. So there are many opportunities to consolidate technologies and have savings, really. We're here for you. So just reach out and we'll be happy to guide you and point you in the right direction.
That's great. Thanks, Matteo. I also wanted to reiterate again that we do have that link available in the handout section, which you have another couple of minutes to download from there. It's free, and we strongly encourage you to check that out. Matteo, thank you so much for your presentation, for your time, for your insights in the Q&A. It's been so illuminating to have you on today. Thank you for all of that detail and for showing us what Elastic can do for us.
You're welcome, and thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. Okay, everyone. So great presentation. I enjoyed that a lot. And once again, check out that handout section while I do the last bit of business today, which is to give away that Amazon gift card for $250. As I mentioned at the beginning, you do have to be present for the entire event to be eligible. And the winner of the $250 Amazon gift card for this event is Robert Goodman from California. Congratulations to you, Robert. We'll be in touch to get you your card. And with that, everyone, that's a wrap for this particular session today. I want to thank Elastic and Matteo for making this event possible. I want to thank all of you attendees for being on with us, for your great questions, and for your interest in this topic. It's been a lot of fun. I hope it has been for you too. That concludes today's event. I will see you in the next one. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.